So why do you attend Mipim and what opportunities does it offer a company such as residential land?
I've been attending Mipim now for 12 years. I think it's unique globally for both residential and commercial property. I find it's the best way to see the largest number of people in our game in the shortest space of time. And for a company like ours, which predominantly specialises in London, you've got a good London presence with a London stand, you've got 20% of the people here involved in the English property market, 5 times the scale of the commercial market is the residential market, and over the last 12 years I've seen a complete increase in the respect and the quantity of people that come here for residential purposes. In fact, last night we were involved in 4 different events in one evening, all of which were to do with residential property. So it's reflective of how much it's become part of Mipim, and for us it's a great way of doing a lot of networking in a very short space of time.
What are your ambitions for this year?
Okay, so I think this year ambitions for us is to try to take advantage of the turmoil that's going on. We have issues with Brexit in the UK, we have issues with the London mayoral election specific to our market, and from my point of view I like that sort of thing. You know, where you find turbulence, you find people that are either waiting at the exit or tightening their belt. We like to be the person that's running up and down the aisle trying to see who's nervous, because for that opportunity only comes at a time of stress. I was quoted recently saying that Brexit's a bit like Y2K. Everybody's in a panic about it, and then the day after it's over we'll all go, what was all that about? So during that session of panic we look for the deals that might come out of the marketplace with people who are a bit nervous and decide to sell. Stock for us is what we're here for. We're trying to find new opportunities to invest our money into what we're good at, which is prime central London residential, and the letting of it and the management of it. People call it PRS, but you know, for our point of view it's our business, and this is a great place to try and see the right calibre of person and talk to them about what might be on their mind selling-wise over the course of the next 3-4 months as we run up towards June.
How are stamp duty and the ongoing conversations around Brexit affecting the market, and what's your view on them?
Well, you know, for stamp duty has been a difficult thing. I think our Chancellor is a talented politician, and certainly what comes out in the budget today will be interesting to see, but he has a habit of shooting the gun and wondering where the bullet lands afterwards. I'd be much happier if he targeted his shots, and certainly the increase of stamp duty December 14 to the levels that it hit over 1.5 million I think was ill-conceived. It could have been more staggered, it could have been less dramatic, and it's had a negative effect on the market. Central London is the engine that drives the UK. If you slow it down, the whole of the UK is affected, and there's no doubt that it's been slowed down by the levels that the Chancellor's come in at. You know, I always find it quite interesting when you look at the statistics. George was in the papers a few weeks ago talking about 587 million more of income in the bracket over 1.5 million. The bit that didn't get published is 30 to 40% less properties have sold. And every one of those properties that might be worth £2 million is having an effect that knocks onto the economy. So if we slow down the market, it might earn him more money at a larger level, but in reality, it doesn't help the engine. And the engine drives the country, and we need it to drive that country well. As far as Brexit's concerned, you know, I think it is a little bit of much ado about nothing, because whichever way we go as a nation, we'll work out the best deal, and over the course of time, we'll be fine. The problems are much overstated by politicians fighting their cause, some of them for ulterior motives, some of them for political gain, and some of them for genuine feeling about the way the country should go. But from my point of view, as I said, it's an opportunity. That's how I see it.
So what have your priorities been recently?
Okay, so we took a view towards the end of last year that the market had compressed its yields. Values had risen dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years, and we decided to sell a few of our, what I would call non-core assets that were stabilised. So they had rent attached, which makes them attractive to investors. And I think that's part of our programme of always looking for the next opportunity. What interested me is the yields that we were selling those assets off had come down considerably. And I think that's reflective of interest rates. I mean, one thing that we seem to get right at the moment is the long-term cost of money is a much lesser level than it has been for many years, not least because of the base rate, but because the expectations of change have disappeared. And to that extent, I think the Governor of the Bank of England's got it right. So 5-year money can be bought at LIBOR of 75 to 80 bips. That hasn't been the case for pretty much all of my life. So from where I am, that's good for institutional investors. And for our industry, the PRS, the private rented sector, the professional rented sector, as we like to call it, institutional investment is a key. If we're going to see large-scale landlords having hundreds of thousands of homes available for people and building hundreds of thousands of homes for people specifically to rent, we need to get that sort of money into the residential world. And what makes it work is low interest rates. And that environment, I think they've got it completely right. So from where we are, which is one of the forefront of pension fund-backed investors in the rented sector, we see a lot more people coming into that marketplace, and I think it'll only grow. It's an enormous market, and it just needs to have professional bodies that look after it, professional landlords that run it, and professional investors teaming up to expand that part of the world. In reality, Help to Buy is having a huge difference to people. No doubt first-time buyers are benefiting from that sort of assistance government-wise. And if you look at the sales, I was talking to the CFO of Persimmon last week, Mark was telling me that they were building 14,000 homes a year in the regions, and they're selling 60% of them before they've even come out of the ground. That sort of thing is great for Britain. How they build more than that, I have no idea, because they're absolutely flying and they're the biggest of them all. But from our point of view, we like that. We want to see more homes built. We want to see the country having money invested in that sort of construction. And from our point of view as a landlord, we'd like to own larger numbers of them and do a good job looking after our tenants, because not everybody can afford to buy. For some people, rent is the affordability. And from our point of view, the more homes we can get into that market, the more we can make it affordable for people to be in them.